I uploaded a video of the first 4 acts of Wuthering Waves, and I was going to upload the rest, but that's 10 plus hours of footage. I have a lot I want to do with this channel, and I don't have time for that, so I'm making this review instead. I completed all the main story of Chapter 1, all the companion quests, and all the exploration quests, and I want to talk about my thoughts on all of it. Starting with the main story, if this was a tier list, Act 1 would be in D tier. There was some exposition dumping that was a little boring, but wasn't too bad. It was fine, but everything else easily overshadows this one. Act 2 is an F tier. Go from here to there with side quests in between, and that was the whole act. Act 3 is in C tier. Scar was fun and his backstory was cool. I just wish we had a flashback to that time instead of Scar explaining everything with occasional drawings. The storytelling could have been a bit better, but it was the first act I enjoyed. Act 4 goes up to A tier. The Scar fight was really cool and it did have a lot of explaining at the end, but I really liked it because we stopped dancing around the situation with the scavenger hunt and finally got clued in as to what was going on. We got our main goal, our main enemies, and the story finally started opening up. Act 5 goes in B tier. Meeting the Black Shores was really fun. Encore is adorable. Then we got to the Court of Savante part, which was a little slow and boring, until we got to the end where we found out that Court of Savante has something to do with the goddess that put Rover in this world. Not as good as Act 4, but the ending definitely sweetened the pot for me. Act 6 was S tier. I got so invested, especially in the Norfall Baron section and the fight with the Threnodian. I have to point out that there were 4 boss fights in this one act. That was really impressive to me, and that just made it more fun. The story was really good. It made me think I was actually preparing for a war. It sucked me in the entire time. What a glow up from the beginning of 1.0. Act 7 is another S tier, my favorite act of the chapter. I was really impressed with how much this act told you in under 3 hours. We got Jinchi's past. I felt like I learned everything I needed to know about the new place. More lore, a fight between Jinchi and Jue, the Court of Savante, Frolova. They crammed so much in under 3 hours and told it in a way that was not confusing. Except for one part, but other than that, everything was explained really well. I think that is a great sign for future acts of this game, and I was very satisfied with this act. The lore we got with the Court of Savante was incredibly interesting too. That being said, this may be controversial, but I'm putting Act 8 in B tier. It did have the best moments in the game so far, Shorekeeper. My Shorekeeper, stop it!
You, my star.
The end of Wandering is the best location in the game so far. 1. Story-wise, it's a location only for Rover and Shorekeeper, which is adorable. 2. The Blake blooms going into the sun creates a beautiful image. And 3. The piano piece is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. It makes me want to cry every time I hear it. I can't explain it, but that's how good it is. The achievement name is also a lovely bonus. I also liked how we were taught about the laments. We knew about them before, but this act really showed you how destructive and terrible laments are, giving us more motivation to stop them moving forward. Those were the only moments scattered in the act though. The majority of it was about saving the Black Shores, Hoda, and the Necrostar, which was not nearly as interesting to me as a battle against the Threnodian or a battle that determines the fate of Jinzhou. I think the Black Shores is going to be like the Traveler quests in Genshin, where after every chapter we'll go back to the Black Shores for one act. If that ends up being the case, I hope the story of those quests are better. It's unfortunate the finale of chapter 1 kinda went downhill, but what can you do? My overall thoughts of the story can be summed up in one sentence. Intrigued, but not invested. There were a few banger acts, but the beginning acts were slow and the story of Act 8 pulled me out a bit. I am interested in seeing what will happen in chapter 2, but I'm not addicted to the story yet. Here's how I looked at it. This was all chapter 1. This was a very long first chapter, but still a first chapter. It was the introduction and setup to all of the lore and story. In the next chapter, we're most likely going to go deeper into all of these concepts, and that's when I'll be invested and enjoy the story a whole lot more. Moving on to the companion stories. There are 7 in total. The companion stories are actually the weakest part of this game for me, and that's mostly because the storytelling, or in some cases the story itself, was lackluster. It's a shame because I was really looking forward to the companion stories. I loved the idea of those types of quests in general. Optional quests to get a side character story to further invest you in the character and the game. That's great. Unfortunately, these weren't done very well. I already reviewed Yinlin and Lin Yan's companion stories in my last video on this, but just a quick recap. Yinlin was like Act 3. It was a good story, but I wish we got to see a flashback, or at least more of why Yinlin joined the Seance Society, instead of it getting explained to us through a letter. I liked the ending. It was a confrontation. It felt like a big moment. The storytelling just wasn't that great. I didn't like Lin Yang's quest because it wasn't even about him. It was about these 2 NPCs that we never see again. We did get his story at the end, and it was interesting. I just wish that was the whole quest. Jian's had the worst story, and that includes the main quests. It was about his war trauma, and I think that part of it was great. That's a serious, very emotional thing to talk about, and I even teared up at the end. But the story was very weird, and it confused me the entire way through. We start the quest entering the Riverside Games, an event in Jinzhou where people team up to participate in various games and challenges. We teamed up with Jian and 2 other people, and that's when Jian told us that in the last Riverside Games, all his teammates ended up dying in the battle beneath the Crescent, the battle against the Thornodian 3 years prior to Act 6. Something goes wrong with the Riverside Games. Rover and Jian investigate and find out that it was caused by some random portal in the middle of nowhere. The portal contains the memories of the 3 teammates that were with him in the previous Riverside Games that died. Like I said, that part of it was sad, but what caused that portal to appear? Why does it lead to Jian's memories? And why did it interrupt the Riverside Games? If I missed something, please comment down below, but I just feel like this was a story full of plot conveniences. Jeju's quest was okay. It was similar to Jian's quest where the character focus was good, but the story wasn't. It was about the urban legend of the arcane artist. Any painting the arcane artist paints comes to life, and at the end of the quest it's revealed that Jeju is the arcane artist. But they did something interesting that I quite liked. They formatted it like Jeju being the arcane artist was a twist, but it wasn't. If you watched a Resonator showcase beforehand like I did, you'd know it was her before starting the quest. If you didn't, the quest makes it clear that Jeju knows a lot about painting, a lot more than an average artist. So I don't think the emphasis of that reveal was on the fact that she was the arcane artist. It it was on her character growth. In the beginning of the quest, she was very introverted, kept to herself, and couldn't even defend herself in court. Thanks to recounting her journey with Rover though, when she reveals she's the arcane artist, her demeanor completely changes. She's outspoken, she's Phoenix right all of a sudden, and demolishes the other person's case, wins the trial, and becomes more confident in herself. I really like the emphasis on character growth rather than the emphasis on her being the arcane artist. That's exactly what a character story should do. That being said, the story was a tad boring. It was more exciting and sensical than Jian's. An art auction is doing shady things. We need to find clues and eventually bring what they're doing to light. Some moments were very slow though. I will say, when the very extroverted Chisha bombards Jeju with questions and Jeju says yes even though she and Rover are investigating, whether she said yes to be nice or to stop Chisha from bombarding her, as an introvert myself, that was the most relatable thing. My opinion on this quest is skewed by the fact that I haven't played 1.2. I haven't seen Jeje before this companion quest, and I've never seen her after this quest. So no matter how much I get to know her, it was soiled by the fact that this was going to be the only time I ever see her. Moving on to a quest I actually enjoyed, Encore. Encore's story is an infamous one. I heard a lot about it before I even started it, mostly that it was really sad. I think that slightly ruined the experience for me. If I didn't know it was going to be sad, I wouldn't be expecting it and the sad moments would have hit harder. That's not a fault of the game though, that's the fault of clickbaity YouTubers. That being said, this is the saddest companion story yet, as it is all about family turning ill and dying. We meet a girl named Yin who lost her mother, and her mother left her with a scavenger hunt to find the Sword of Courage, the Shield of Faith, and the Wreath of Hope, which is not only one last fun activity for your mother to give you, but also a great message. Have courage, faith, and hope to carry on when I'm gone. We also hear about Encore's mom, how she loved Encore a lot and always played with her, but fell ill and died. And even though all of those things are really sad, I didn't cry until we got to this moment. That's so cute.
It's a very happy story.
I wasn't expecting that at the end. Was that Encore's mom? Okay, that almost got me more than anything. If they actually showed Encore's mom and Encore going to hug her mom, that would have broken me. But they didn't do that. Honestly, I would have cried if I had noticed Encore mouthing the word mom at the end. The direction of the ending scene was very well done. Encore's voice syncing with Yin, the turn when she hears her mom, her saying the words mom at the end, but we can't hear her say mom. We only see her mouth the words with a little teardrop. They nailed that ending scene. One more thing, I love Karina Reeves. She puts 110% of her energy into every line. She's my favorite voice actress so far. I loved Chainley's companion story. Seeing her forced to live on her own, learning things on her own, getting a mentor to teach her everything she knows, and eventually becoming one herself for Jinchi. I loved how it came full circle, and who doesn't love a strong, independent woman? The story and storytelling was really good, and I like what they did with some of the camera angles. This may sound morbid, but little Chainley burning her arm because she hasn't gotten the hang of her forte yet was tragic yet adorable at the same time. The final companion story of this region was Camellia, and it was my favorite for two reasons. One, she was obsessed with Rover's power, not Rover herself. Oh, I suppose I should explain that. This game has a little quirk where every woman Rover comes across fawns over. This game is dubbed Gathering Wives because of it. Some people like it, some don't, and others don't care. And while I don't care, it is nice to have some difference every once in a while. 2, we learn Rover actually hurt Camellia and altered the course of her life. Camellia is sensitive to overclocking, and Rover is a calming presence for her. They became friends because of it. We learn that Rover erased her memories herself, and in doing so abandoned Camellia. This caused her overclocking issue to spike again, and she eventually erased her own memories to forget about Rover for the sake of her health. The thing is, we don't know if Rover's decision was the right or wrong one. Maybe she was in the right. If she was, this companion quest showed that the right decisions don't make everyone happy, and I love that. Throughout Huanglong, we have only seen Rover save people and do the right things, which result in the best outcome. And again, while I don't mind, and it's a good story regardless, it's nice to get some difference to show that not everything is that black and white. I would have liked Rover to apologize to Camellia, but I understand why they didn't. Those are the main reasons I liked it, but in terms of the other things, the story was tragic but really good. The storytelling was confusing but enjoyable once you sit with it for a few minutes, and like Chain Li, some of the camera angles were awesome. As for Camellia herself, I think I'm into the femme fatale stereotype and I can't deny it anymore. I have a strange obsession with Vita and Vegeta, and I tried to block this possibility out of my mind, but after this, I just can't. I just think Camellia is a really fun character, okay? She tries to kill Rover all the time, but other than that, she's so playful and charming. The only thing I didn't like was the ending. They tried to romanticize their relationship, and like I said, Camellia is trying to kill Rover all the time. Sorry, but I'm not into romanticizing abuse. This was the last thing that released before Renacita came out, and that gives me hope for the companion stories of Renacita, and by extension, the main quests. I hope the story and storytelling really improves, and maybe we'll get more of this because this was great. Finally, let's talk about exploration. You're probably wondering why the companion stories are my least favorite part of the game when the exploration quests are the shortest of the 3, they're not even voiced, and they have no story or lore to them at all. The answer's very simple. I am in the honeymoon phase with exploration right now. This is my 3rd open world gacha game I've played, and I have never felt compelled to explore in the other 2, but Wuthering Waves was different. I loved exploring the world, finding all the spectacles that this world has to offer. Mount Firmament is incredibly beautiful. I love the music. It reminds me of Slime Rancher music, which calms me. And I love the Black Shores too. They do such a good job with the environment, and the exploration quests just make it better. The exploration quests actually changed the map to make the world look prettier than it already is, and I love that. This is what a banyan tree looked like before I did the quest, and this is what it looks like now. I couldn't stop staring at this tree when I finished the quest. It was so beautiful. The only thing that I hate about the exploration is the 100% completion. To sum it up in one sentence, multiple needles in multiple haystacks. Look at how small these blob flies are. Look at how small these viewpoints are. And look at how large these areas are. You're telling me I have to find these in all areas? Give me a tracker or something, because I'll be so lost. I know you get a bunch of rewards for doing the exploration 100%, but I don't feel like spending 6 hours hours on this. To sum up all my thoughts, this is the closest I've gotten to falling in love with the game without actually being in love with it, if that makes sense. I'm on the ledge. There is a lot of good things in this game, and when this game gets good, it's really good. But there are a few things that I get hung up on and that pull me out of it. Mainly the storytelling in some of the stories themselves are not that great. I hope they fix this in Renacita. Like I said, we'll get deeper into the lore of it all since it's chapter 2, and I'm excited for that because some of the lore was really intriguing. I watched the 2.0 trailer, it was amazing, a great song too. I'm also really excited for Filova. Scar was a tutorial villain. Let's ignore the fact that he killed me 5 times and focus on the fact that he was arrested in Act 4 and we haven't seen him since. Filova feels like an actual main villain for me. She'd rather wait things out instead of charging in for an attack to learn more information that will be useful to her, and it feels like Rover will get an actual challenge out of her, and I can't wait to see how that plays out. Also, I just love me some villain characters. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in Renacita.